Okay, good evening, everyone. So we are starting a series of sessions in which you will be able to upgrade your professional skills. In the series of the same session, we have started with the business news analysis. Now, this session I am conducting from almost now 10 years. The entire purpose behind conducting these sessions is to give you a brief understanding about why business news analysis is very important. When we segregate these three statements, it does not terms means that it is a current affair session. This is basically based on the understanding defined in a multiple ways. Okay. So in this news analysis session, what I am going to cover, I am going to take some good news, specifically like budget is one of the key areas that we will be talking in next 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, and of course we will be talking about the current happening which is right now, which is dealing with multiple aspects, and then I will be sharing the cases also. So I will share two cases in this news, and primarily the objective is you should start understanding one basic thing, that reading newspaper, understanding it and comprehending those things is so important. I'm sure after this session you will be able to probably comprehend it, probably understand it, how you can analyze and why it is important. Okay. So in a broader sense, this session will help you, motivate you to read newspaper in a big way. And of course, to analyze news, it will help you in your group discussion, it will help you in your personal interview. I'm assuring you that if you will be preparing for your placements, if you're preparing for your interviews, this will be really important, because in general cases companies are or interviewer are expecting you to know the context of a news which is happening around us. Okay. So while preparing this, of course this is the only time I am sharing why do we need this skill set. This is the only time that we will be probably changing. Just give me a minute, I'll just adjust the camera. Sorry. Hope I'm completely visible, clearly visible, and you can see the screens, right? Perfect. Thank you. So these are the major reason behind the conducting of these sessions. I will try to conduct every fortnightly, and these are the main reason that we defined it as. Business world is very dynamic right now. You must be aware about what is happening. We know there are US elections will be there in this year. Now, if you think that is it may not impact because I am doing business locally, it may not impact US election to me, then I really need to say keep watching these sessions. You will definitely realize that these are all impactful things. Of course, entrepreneurial skills is needed. We need to have a multiple dimension of each and every aspect, so that will also going to cover. Then informed business decision, companies are taking decision based on the multiple criteria, multiple understanding, and that is one of the things that you need to be very careful. Current affairs section as a competitive exam, if you are preparing for a competitive exam, I'm assuring you this will be very useful thing, because in a competitive exam you need to be updated as per the data, as per the fact. Although I may not be discussing too much facts because that facts are available, that you need to read it. But I'm more towards comprehension of every single news. And then, as I told you, GDPI boost your knowledge, confidence, and then intellectual level. See, when you will discuss a specific news and you are discussing in a uh, actually comprehensible manner, then again it will create a different intellectual among yourself when you compare with other people. So on a broader scale, these things will be useful, but it will be completely a failure if you will not read by yourself. So what I would suggest everyone, guys, whomsoever is watching this, start reading it and start comprehending it. So let us focus now some important news which is around us. So let us begin with the first and foremost, the uh, uh, most important news which has occurred 15 days back now, almost it's 15 days. So when I was analyzing a budget, I found main key highlights of the budget. So what I do is I read multiple sources, multiple data, multiple data point I go, and then I identify some important context from that and I discuss it. So that's what I'm starting with. So when this budget was presented, few people were saying that this budget is not for middle class. Few people are saying this budget is actually too much on a side of promising things rather than creating things, rather than short term creation. So there are multiple ways of analyzing a budget. Budget is a very important exercise. Again, if you think I don't care, I am not paying income taxes, then you are making a mistake over here. So, as a budget, what I found 10 important things. This budget undoubtedly is a promising budget. How you wanted to take it, that is your call. It's a promising budget, no doubt. It talks about the most important problem that the government has faced in the last 10 years. We have witnessed, we have seen the government, the numbers of the government in parliament is reduced from 303 to 240. So the major reason behind this, the point number one. I believe employment is one thing that they are lacking it. Employment is the one important aspect that they are looking into it. So employment के लिए they have come up with multiple schemes. They are providing incentives. They are providing all those people who have registered themselves in EPF. They are giving them n number of incentives. So as I told you, I will not go in very details about the numbers, about the factual part. We need to understand this budget primarily. The point number one, if I've mentioned point number one as an employment. That means, from my understanding, this budget is totally focusing on creation of employment. Today also we are seeing that there are concerns behind uncertainties in the employment data. I will be covering in the next news what is happening in US. So employment is the key right now. That is the need of an hour. They are trying to focus up through multiple skills. Skilling is the challenge that India is facing drastically. If you will compare ourselves with US or European country, you may not face that skilling challenge over there. In India, we are facing huge. Although we have a pool of opportunities available, but parallelly, skilling is another area where we are lacking it. When I say skill means you are capable of one thing and you are actually not polishing that particular skills, and then you are moving towards another area. So what is happening is right now it's a mismatch. People think I made for this, but ultimately they are not made for this. So that skilling part, government is trying since so long. I think the project being started by Manmohan Singh ji in 2007-8 by the name of National Skill Development Corporation. Then it has been changed to PMAY. Then again, there are multiple projects being there. There are contexts over there. And the third and the most prominent thing where the jobs can come is our MSME sector. So what point number one says is government is very desperate to create jobs. They know jobs from IT sector or service sector may not be useful. That's why what they are doing it, they are probably focusing more on the MSME side rather than concentrating on only the service sector. That is what the problem India is facing since last almost 60-70 years. We are not able to generate jobs in the manufacturing sector. That's why they want this sector need to be. Mudra loan is one classical example in upgraded under this scheme. It will provide funds to MSME and that will help them. Okay. So point number one, I have elaborated. Point number two is another area, fiscal deficit. So when you will see fiscal deficit is primarily on a context of overall economy. It's a really important number. You need to understand. In a simple layman language, fiscal deficit is what? Where your expenditure is more than income. So as a government, they can have a deficit. As an individual, we can't have a deficit. We need to borrow money, but borrow के लिए भी हमको expending उतना ही करना पड़ेगा जितने में हमारे पास हाथ में है पैसा. तो fiscal deficit government का होता है. We know government was very committed to reduce their fiscal deficit. They are able to reduce their fiscal deficit, but the problem is during the time of COVID, where the people was not when the lockdowns were imposed, when the incomes of the government is reduced, parallelly people does not have incomes, so they were forced to borrow money. So forced to borrow money, that's why fiscal deficit is actually raised to up to 6% also during the time of COVID. Now the good point in this, what I found as a primarily understood, what I understood is if the fiscal deficit is reduced to 5.1 and they are committed to reduce it by 4.9% is a really, really good thing, because this is the ultimate number foreign agencies, foreign companies will going to see. They will definitely going to focus on the deficit number. So whenever the rating agencies wanted to give you rates, they always look this number, this as a benchmark number for them. They show them how much borrowing you are doing, कितना borrow आपने, कितना पैसा उधार लिया है. So if you are borrowing more money, that means this is the concern. So fiscal deficit in a broader sense will be connected towards investment. So logically, if you have a good rating, you will get good investment. If you have a good investment, you will get good investment rating. Foreign people will come and invest here, and they will stay for a longer period of time. Sustainability will also be there. But a lower rating will hamper you negatively. So on a fiscal deficit side is another very, very important thing. Second point, what I believe is the notional thing behind this is government is now taking good dividend. So one of the main reason reduction of deficit is being found by the data which is being suggested is government is getting a good dividend from the company. Specifically, numbers wise, if I will go, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, has given almost 1,23,000 crore rupees as a dividend. So that is an additional income that government is getting every year apart from the taxes. So this year they got it. That's why this number has been reduced. They are promising to reduce it by further. This is again a good news. Third is this budget promises another capital expenditure in capital expenditure, or what we call it as productive expenditure. So government, why they make deficit budget? As a government, they are basically what? They are defined by their socialist nature. So they always wanted to spend more, although their income is less. So expenditure terms may, budget is what our expenditure planning. So in expenditure terms, if you will see, though primarily areas where we can define expenditures. One is public welfare schemes, public welfare expenditures. Second is basically capital expenditure or productive expenditure. I'm not considering the expenditure being probably short-term expenditure like the revenue expenditures. So I'm not considering that. I'm just dividing into two broader categories. So public welfare expenditure are such expenditure which is primarily made for public outreach, public welfare caring. So for example, government का scheme है प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना. So they are providing some subsidies, they are providing some special committed lower rate interest. So these are all basically used. They are used for public welfare. And for example, Pradhan Mantri Jan Kaushal Yojana. So that is for basically providing 5 lakh cover to a medical emergency for lower age people. So what happens in public expenditure? This is only for once. They will not require multiple. But again, they will not create some assets also. So in a simple example, it has been expended once, consumed, and that's what is productive expenditure? When these expenditures being made for creating assets, wealth. So in this budget, government has committed to spend all-time high of the historical, अगर आप numbers में देखेंगे, all-time high of 11 lakh crore rupees. 11 lakh crore rupees they are committing to spend on capital expenditure. Finally, another structure is revision on taxes. We have seen there are new tax regime. They are planning to come under the new tax regime. Actually, they are planning to come under DTC direct tax code. So probably you may find direct tax code will be implemented in next 2-3 years. Then in coming years, So there are some revision in tax slabs. There are some changes in short-term capital gain, long-term capital gain. The numbers are available here. कैपिटल गेन्स टैक्स इज बीइंग चेंज एंड खासकर इंडेक्सेशन को लेके काफी प्रॉब्लम चालू है लॉट मेनी people those who are around those intellectuals are saying that indexation shouldn't have been removed so capital gain tax पे थोड़ा चेंजेस आया है इंडेक्सेशन हटा दिया गया है इसके बाद शॉर्ट टर्म में आपका टैक्सेस भी बढ़ा दिए गए तो अगर आप शेयर परचेज कर रहे हो और उसको तुरंत बेचते हो कुछ दिनों के अंदर में तो you may witness a short term capital gain उसमें भी रेट्स आपके इंक्रीज कर दिए गए so on a broader sense these are the five major area what I found apart from these five major areas I found another five major area which can be comprehended as the key highlight of the budget custom duty is one thing which we are attached with specifically when we talk about custom duty on golds so gold पे custom duties were reduced हुआ to just curb the black marketing of the gold and the most important promising thing which is happening across the globe right now gold is going down so gold is coming down so that's why what we have done it is they have done it is to reduce the custom duty the main idea behind this they wanted to import gold but on a white they don't want it to encourage the black marketing. That's why they have reduced the custom duty. And one more important custom duty about the cancer drug. So that is again very important. 7th point what I found is because this government is not fully full majority government. So we need to understand full majority government have their own prominence. But the government when it comes with alliance, it's an NDA government. So you need to understand allocation to two major parties which are there is by prominent have to be happen. So Andhra Pradesh is they don't have a capital. They are planning to make their capital. Amravati probably will be the capital. Bihar is already witnessing lot many changes in infrastructure. We have seen. So these two states are getting a special attention. Okay. So broadly, promoting higher education is the key here. Budget allocation on AP and Bihar, the main prominent reason behind it is they wanted to focus more on the alliance partner. They wanted to make them happy rather than again the other states also got some recognized funds, but the more funds are basically on AP and Bihar. Then angel tax again it is being connected towards the employment generation. The current generation can only be connected with the current people. Angel tax generally happen to being collected to be given by angel investors and generally angel investors always invest in a startups. So the problem this tax has started in 2012 only and तब से लेके अब तक it has been there people were talking about we should promote entrepreneurship we need funds from the foreign country but government wanted to check इसलिए ये tax रखा हुआ था but it's a good decision again they have removed it. This will encourage foreign players to come in and invest in startup. Ultimately, it will connect to the job creation. What will happen is once the angel tax will be removed, ultimately you will have more money coming to the startups, and then they are ultimately converting those money, using those money for creating more jobs by doing the expansion. So that will again be a connections of your job scale. Higher education के लिए they have made it I think 10 lakhs तक you can get collateral free but India no foreign education. Okay, so India में अगर आप कोई IIMs में जाना चाहते हैं so there are fees are very high obviously but some colleges lower level colleges where the fees are up to 10 lakhs you can easily get loan from this. And then housing is the one of the prominent area which Mr. Narendra Modi has done it really well in his last 10-year tenure. This scheme, although during the COVID period it was not very successful, COVID period was there that backstab because of the funds were not available, the funds is being used on a public welfare. Otherwise, if you will remove that 2-3 year, this scheme is on ground has worked really well, housing scheme, and it has been extended now. I think 1 crore they will be giving to 1 crore houses for urban area and up to 2 crore houses for rural area. Then free electricity is not for everyone. It is not free electricity guarantee given by a Delhi government or any other government. It's a free electricity. You need to generate, you need to create power. So they wanted to give you 1 crore, they wanted to give you 1 crore people. So basically, that solar panels they will be installing, and through that you can generate. It's not a free electricity thing where you will be getting. Okay. So these are the 10 highlights I believe, which is very important we need to comprehend while you're preparing for group discussion or interviews. You need to be very sure while interviewer are asking, you can actually come up with 3-4 points among them, and then you can elaborate whatever the point that you are comfortable with. My point is, while analyzing something, you need to think on both the aspects of it. There are some positives of it, there are some negatives of it, but always understand and comprehend through an analysis point of view. Analysis does not mean a biased eyes. Always remember. Okay. So if media attention के through जाएंगे तो ये बजट को प्रॉब्लम है. बजट में मिडिल क्लास के लिए कुछ भी नहीं. बट अगर आप एज एन एनालिस्ट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू देखेंगे तो बहुत कुछ है सीखने. And it's a budget is a planning. Budget is not happening today, right? It will happen tomorrow. It will take time. So these are all things which is there. I believe this I have explained it in a detail. इसमें से अगर आपको any queries, anything you can put forward in your chat box. I will be able to see and I'll definitely add on once the session will get over. So let us move to the second important news now. Well, we will be mainly addressing with second important issue was the US elections. Okay, so US election, and there are so much you can say US recession. There are two major news that I'm covering in one aspect, one single news. US election is always been a most important election across globe, always, because undoubtedly still they dominate the world. They create the problems. They have that aspects among themselves. So we really need to watch closely, because this election has become very interesting now, because in almost 4 or 5 elections when I'm watching, I have seen the dynamism of this election has changed drastically. We are not able to identify which will this election will going to move. Okay, so it's a Democrat versus Republicans. You need to understand. If you will just go to the history and analyze 96 से लेके अभी तक जितने भी elections हुए हैं, I'll just quickly go through and then we'll be able to elaborate you, and then you can connect, and then probably one important question which right now I'm asking and then ask once again is, whom do you think will be good for us, left or right? Madam Kamala Harris of Democrat and Mr. Donald Trump, because it is final now between these two. It will be one of them who will be there as a US president by this year end. So before answering this question, let us try and comprehend quickly about election criteria since 96 to 2024. And for what we are interested only for us. Whom is better person or better comprehensible for as an India, rather than वो global के लिए क्या करने वाला, ठीक है? So 96 में president was Mr. Bill Clinton. This was 96 to 2000 period. There was a scandal and then probably he had to quit. But 98 में India did 96 to 2000. The president was Mr. Bill Clinton. He was a Democrat. 98, 99 में हमने किया पोखरण. पोखरण के बाद भी nuclear test, right? Nuclear test हमने किया, and उसके बाद India got sanctioned very heavily. So who put sanctioned on us? A Democrat. Mr. Bill Clinton. Then from 2000 to 2008, there was a Republican call, being led by George Bush Jr. Now, what we witnessed in 2000 to 2008, 2001, people come to know there is something called terrorism, because 2001 9/11 first attack happened in US, Twin Towers attack. It was a huge attack. After that, we have witnessed 2 wars. One war with Afghanistan, other war was Iraq. This is in the period of 2000 to 2008. In between, Indian sections got reduced. So section किसने reduce किया? Mr. George Bush Jr. a Republican. थोड़े से reduced किए. Then 2008 to 2016, once again the Democrat government came. This time president was Mr. Barack Obama. Barack Obama came. Unfortunate for him, 2008 was a recession year. It was a subprime crisis globally, world. I did my MBA during that phase, so I know this. It was a crunchy time when the jobs were not there. 2008 to 2016 was a very difficult. 2008 to 2012 was a difficult period for Mr. Obama. He was trying and settling the things. 2012 से 16 वाले phase में he got Nobel also. He did one wonderful thing for global world, that is Iran के साथ they have come up with a treaty. That treaty, that sanction reduced करके treaty आया. उस treaty sign हो रहा था 15-16 के आसपास. But 16 में as Democrats का हमेशा से ये रहा है, they don't get third term. They have never got third term on a consecutive basis. Republican actually got it, but Democrats का problem होता है कि वो 2 terms के बाद उनको third term में वो जाते ही जाते हैं. So हुआ यही, Donald Trump became president in 2016. 3 things he did. First thing, resuming office, he has put back sanctions on Iran. That creates the instability in entire Middle East. Then he started a trade war with China because he's a hyper nationalist guy. So he wanted to reduce burden, reduce dependency on China. So he started trade war. And the most important third thing he did is started the migration issues. Migration. So we also got hampered because we are a service economy. Most of the companies are dependent. So migration issue is another issue that will be so. So 4 years was very unpredictable. Then 20 to 24, Mr. Trump lost to his senior, Ms. Kamala Harris is a vice president right now. Inkit so senior Mr. Joe Biden, who was a deputy of Barack Obama. So it's as a connected thing. So vice president right now, Joe Biden right now president. So Joe Biden 4 years again a problem in terms of सबसे पहला कोविड को सेटलमेंट करते करते बहुत टाइम लगा. Then after that inflation issue came, then the Russia problem, then the Israel problem, and then so on and so forth. So in simple sentence, let me just conclude in quick sentence. Whenever US has witnessed Republican, so I wanted to tell you the nature of Republicans. Republicans are aggressive in nature. They are capitalists. They favor the companies, they favor the corporates, they are always nationalist. Donald Trump was hyper nationalist. They always wanted to favor their own people rather than other. They hate China. Republicans are completely hate China. You can see the past. They don't hate Russia. They don't like either. They cannot like because capitalist का opposite communist होता है, तो communist regime को कभी भी नहीं like कर सकते, but still they don't hate Russia, but they always favor India. Okay, Republicans always favor India. That is what we have seen in 16 to 20 के phase में भी. He has favored India really well. Now it's opposite. When you will talk about opposite of it, what about Democrats? Democrats are nature में very liberal. They are conservative in their thinking. They don't want to put higher pressures. They wanted to comprehend things on a very systematic manner. They don't like China, not much, but they don't hate China, but they literally hate Russia. They don't want military operation to happen. They don't want to fight. They don't want to be aggressive. But sanction has been put up on us by a Democrat, which has been continued in the regime of Barack Obama also. Barack Obama has never liked India on that manner. So I have given you the context on both the cases. What I realized, now we need to find out which is good for us. A Republican, which is an aggressive in nature, can create an instability in your mind. Then Democrats, which are stable in nature, but they don't favor India much. So, in an uncertain world, whom should we concentrate more? Whom should we focus on more? So, answer is pretty obvious. While we were buying oil with Russia, people were saying we are actually buying the lives of Ukrainian people. So why do we buy? Why we are buying oil? The only point which I wanted to make is we cannot change the equation over there. We cannot go and fight for Ukraine. So हम क्या कर सकते हैं? We could put pressure by dialogues. We cannot go and fight. So हम dialogue के through अपना put कर रहे थे. But why not to purchase oil if it is giving us some sense of पॉजिटिव थिंग्स अल्टीमेटली हमें भी अपना इन्फ्लेशन देखना है हमें भी हमारा लोकल देखना है सो वी वर बाइंग ऑयल फ्रॉम रशिया इट स्टिल वी आर बाइंग ऑल्दो द नंबर हैज बीन रिड्यूस्ड बट स्टिल वी आर बाइंग pretty practical so again we need to be more practical on that I am leaving this answer to you people whom do you want to decide if she comes although she is an Indian she has never favored India she has always commenting against favoring on POK sites and all there are always an issue he is very you can say a guy which is very unpredictable. He can say anything. He can do anything. One fine day he we woke up. हमको पता चलता है कि इजराइल को का जो प्रॉब्लम है we have solved it. He said we have solved the problem of Israel. Now the Jerusalem will be a capital of Israel. Nobody was knowing this. This is the unpredictability with this guy is. So unpredictability, but he always favored India. He want India to actually tackle China and Russia. We want India to be stronger. So this is the thing you need to decide. Then in the next news, I have taken the recession part. This is coming from the yesterday's news only. We were talking about this. Right now, we are witnessing a kind of a slip in the job market in US, and that's why yesterday the stock market of US being fell down by a huge margin. So there was a main concern that probably it's a cyclical effect is once again coming up for US. Every 8 year there is a recession. 2000 partial recession, 2008 big recession, 2016 again partial recession, 24 we are in 2024. So can we say this is the cyclical thing which is continuing? The problem with the US is it has been funded by artificial money. That the money they have not created, they have just printed money and then thrown it to the people. So people are getting huge amount of money. They are getting money to invest to spend very easily. So the fundamentals behind the entire context in US is not that great. So you need to understand one single point. One important point here is whenever the money is being funded by the printed money or artificial money, it will not sustain longer. It will completely come up with an inflation form or some other form. So US का problem ये है कि why every 8 year में वो recession में आता है, उसका same reason. You must know what is recession. For your information, if any 2 quarters are coming in negatives, is considered as a recession. So अभी recession में आया नहीं है US. There may be a possibility. One of the main reasons behind US is coming in recession is high interest rate. That is also impacting the across world. High interest rate is high borrowing costs. High borrowing cost is companies getting funds in a very high cost. High borrowing cost also means पैसा जो है सिस्टम से वो निकल गया है. High borrowing cost, high interest rate का मतलब है less money available in the system. So companies are not getting funds on a regular note or a proper note. So ultimately, if they are not getting funds, they will create less jobs. That uncertainty. And ultimately, election year है तो problem होना ही है. आप हमेशा देखोगे election years में ये issues होते हैं. तो on a broader sense, election and the inflation issue, high interest rate, all are combining together is probably creating this particular thing. And let me tell you with a full responsibility, if this happens, it will impact us also. Undoubtedly, it will impact us. So because US has so huge economy, so connected with all around the world. If it is impacting one, it will going to impact others also. Okay. Then I have come up with this also again. We are witnessing wars. Unfortunately, the event happened last week. We have seen that the Hamas leader being assassinated by probably by the Israeli people in Iran itself. The leader of Hamas, the main supreme leader of Hamas, was there to attend the ceremony, oath-taking ceremony of Iranian new president. Iranian new president got he got again he died because of the helicopter crash, and then there is a problem with Lebanon. There is a problem already. War is going with Gaza. Then Russia and Ukraine is already fighting. We have seen Europe election. France still no government. President Macron has not elected prime minister yet. So there is a huge uncertainty looming around us. Uncertainty means we are not sure what to do. When we are not sure what to do, that means the entire the cycle of spending and spending creation job will going to happen. So sovereign wealth investors are saying who are sovereign wealth investors? Basically, sovereign wealth investors are those who invest in sovereign bonds. What are sovereign bonds? Sovereign bonds are bond issued by government. It's not issued by a company. बॉन्ड इशूड बाय गवर्नमेंट. सो इंडिया के को अगर फॉरेन से लोन लेना है, लेट्स से मैं यूएस में रेसिडेंट हूं, मुझे इंडिया के फॉरेन बॉन्ड्स का बॉन्ड अगर परचेज करना है तो मैं क्या करूंगा? सोवरेन बॉन्ड्स परचेज करूंगा. तो आई एम अ सोवरेन इन्वेस्टर. एंड लेट मी टेल यू, सोवरेन इन्वेस्टर्स आर वेरी वेल defined people. They know what is exactly happening. So they are saying that inflation is now gone. Inflation issue has been not been big issue right now. Currently the inflation issue से बड़ा issue create हो गया है uncertainty about the geopolitics. West Asia is probably may enter in war in couple of days. This could happen. Iran has already said, and we have seen this. If Iran knows if Donald Trump become president, for them it will be really difficult. So this is the time. And already एक बहुत बड़ा problem हो चुका है. So there is an uncertainty surrounding around us. Iran is difficult opponent to fight with as compared to Iraq and Afghanistan, because they have axis of resistance. They have created 3 different armies, guerrilla armies, Hezbollah, Hamas, and most importantly Houthis. They are fighting for them proxy wars. So it's not an easy country to fight. The US also know this. That's why they don't want Israel to fight. But again, what is happening? We don't know. What could happen? We don't know. Mr. Ayodhya Kami has already mentioned in the prayer meet when they were attending the prayer meet that we will hit back Iran. So again, it's a very uncertain time, guys. Let's see what can happen. Then finally, I will be coming up with 2 cases. Another next 5-10 minutes, I'll explain. Today, I'll be mainly dealing with the initiating part of it. So, in my case study rounds, what I do is I always try to give you 2 different scenarios. One is learning from the best. So, there are some best companies, best people. We can learn from them. And in the second phase, I discuss learning from the failure. So this time, learning from the best, I have taken a company name, a company which is from China. I wanted you to guess, everyone who are listening to me, I want you people to guess the name of a company. Company is the largest battery making company for electric vehicles. Largest battery making company for electric vehicles. I want you to guess, online students. I'm taking a 1-minute break. You can tell me the name of a company. Yes. The name of a company, I'm sure this is not very popular. That's the beauty of China. When they create companies, they don't want to make them popular. They want them to work really, really well. So I'm talking about the company name CATL. It's a new name, and I'm with I am also accepting this fact while preparing this slide. When I was going through, I was also not knowing. I was knowing that BYD is the largest maker. Honestly speaking, I came to know CATL is by far from last 6 years they are the number one. Now, what CATL is done and what CATL has created, I'll explain in next 5 minutes. It's a very interesting story, and you will really like it. CATL is obviously it's the largest company, started in a very small village, founded in 2011. Very small village where फिशिंग विलेज था, मतलब लोगों ने सुना भी नहीं था, जहां से 90 किलोमीटर दूर पहला एयरपोर्ट है, इतना इतना दूर है. नाउ ये जो कंपनी का मेन ऑब्जर्वेशन हुआ, चाइना हैज realized this thing. China has realized in 2009 itself that they are creating they are in problem in terms of oil, because China also a net importer of oil and gases. Okay, although they produce, but net importer of oil and gases. So China realized in 2009 they are investing so much money on importing oil and gases. Why not to shift on alternative? उनको सबसे ज्यादा impactful लगा BYD. BYD is, let me tell you, BYD is being funded by the most important investor in the world, Mr. Warren Buffett. So it's a popular company. I also know that company, but I was not knowing about the cattle. So what happened is, in some era Shenzhen में 16,000 buses को इन्होंने electrify किया. China realized कि अरे ये एक बहुत बड़ा opportunity. So they started investing in this business by in 2009 itself. India started very late. That's the problem. $29 billion का सब्सिडी दिया उन्होंने और फंड करना चालू किया ये बिजनेस को, और खासकर कैटल की तरफ उन्होंने वो किया कि उन्होंने देखा कि भाई कैटल कैन बी अ प्रॉमिसिंग कंपनी. अल्टीमेटली व्हाट हैपेंड इज, टू फंड कंपनी एंड टू प्रोवाइड देम प्लेटफॉर्म इज टू डिफरेंट थिंग. तो इंडिया कहीं ना कहीं वहां पे लैकिंग करता रहा है. इंडिया ने लेटरली रियलाइज किया कि हमको अपने छोटे कंपनीज को फंड करना है, बट द काइंड ऑफ प्लेटफॉर्म जो चाहिए था वो नहीं दिया. व्हाट this company what China has done wonderfully is by providing a platform. What platform they have provided? They have made it compulsory to all companies wanted to sell their electric vehicle in China. They need to purchase battery from CATL. Either you want to come तो CATL का बैटरी लो, नहीं तो मत आओ. So that made CATL the most promising company in the world. Now if you can see the numbers, you will be surprised. CATL is producing almost 243,000 batteries, and which compared to almost double of what BYD is, the nearest competitor. So they are the by far the largest electric vehicle in the world. So broadly, what I wanted to convey here is China has realized this potential very early. They made it significant changes in their policies. They supported them financially as well as on a policy side. Ultimately, CATL को वो platform मिला. Right now, CATL is a net exporter, huge exporter of the batteries. They have come up. They have actually उनका जो batteries है, उनका recent उन्होंने, you can see from the point 1,000 kilometer का range. That means from Nagpur to Mumbai, one charge I can reach from Nagpur to Mumbai 1,000 kilometer. So this much उन्होंने इतना, अभी तक हम I think 400-450 किलोमीटर तक का हमारे पास रेंज मिला है हमारे जो बैटरीज हमारे पास. So it was a really good thing. While preparing this, so I thought कि आपको ये भी बताऊं, 3 countries are prominent in electric. Whatever the technologies will be there, 2 companies will always be there. 2 countries will always be there, Korea and Japan. But now China is also added. So China is now by far ahead than the other companies. Then you can see about India. India also became 5th largest. India also became 5th largest in terms of lithium. So when we talk about battery, the most important metal what we require is lithium. So lithium, India got reserve. We have discovered a reserve in Jammu and Kashmir. ठीक है, तो it is a very prominent that reserve, and including rest of the reserve, India became fifth largest in terms of it. Most of the lithium comes from which place? The Southern American part. It is Bolivia, Chile, Argentina. They are there. And one more thing what China has done, which I missed it, is China has taken over the all mines. Maximum mines they have already taken over. They know if they wanted to invest for future, they पहले जितना भी प्रेजेंट का होता है उसको सिक्योर करके they आगे मूव करते हैं. अभी हम लोग ने स्टार्ट किया है. We are buying batteries from other countries. हम लोग जो लिथियम है वो सब ले रहे हैं बाहर से. अभी हम लोग काफी पीछे हैं इन सब चीजों में. चाइना हैज मूव फॉरवर्ड, अ वे फॉरवर्ड. तो इतना अमाउंट ऑफ यहाँ से उसमें ज्यादातर जगहों पे जितनी भी माइंस है इज बीइंग टेकन ओवर बाय चाइना. दे आर नॉट गिविंग माइंस, तो दे आर प्रोवाइडिंग देम सपोर्ट ऑफ फिल्टरिंग इट. रिफाइनिंग का सपोर्ट उन लोग को मिल रहा है. तो चाइना हैज डन दिस. एंड फॉर लेमन पीपल, नॉन साइंस पीपल लाइक मी, what I have come up with is the context about lithium. For you people you should know, lithium is the lightest metal found on earth. ठीक है, it's not a very common material. It's a very rare material. Should know. It's belong to an alkali family. Those who are knowing chemistry, they must be knowing this. Its density is half of the water, so it's a very rare and important metal at present being found on earth. है ना. अभी सफिशिएंट है, बट इन नियर फ्यूचर यू विल फाइंड. इससे आपका बॉडी ऑफ प्लेन्स एंड फाइटर जेट्स जो है, फाइटर जेट्स एंड प्लेन्स का बॉडी बनाया जाता है लिथियम से. ओके, एंड बैटरीज ऑफ मोबाइल फोन, इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल, एल्यूमिनियम, मैग्नीशियम, ये सब चीजों के लिए इसमें इस्तेमाल किया जाता है. एंड देन फाइनली लिथियम का मेडिसिन यूज भी है. लिथियम का यूज एंटी डिप्रेसेंट, बाइपोलर डिसऑर्डर बनाने के लिए भी लिथियम यूज किया जाता है. ठीक है, ग्लोबली जैसे मैंने बताया साउथ अमेरिकन कंट्रीज में ज्यादा रिजर्व है, और चाइना ऑलरेडी 77% उसका ग्लोबल लिथियम का बैटरी का मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंट्रोल कर रहा है. इसके लिए उसके पास उतना लिथियम है अवेलेबल. ठीक है, एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स इंडिया में जो रिजर्व है वो ज्यादातर जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में है. स्टिल वी आर इन अ वर्ज ऑफ फाइंडिंग आउट, आइडेंटिफाइंग इट, एंड देन प्रोबेबली हम लोग उसमें करेंगे. सो व्हाट इज द लर्निंग फ्रॉम दिस बेस्ट इज, although I accept this fact that it's been supported by China, in terms of two things, policy and acquiring the mines, but still this company has done dramatical change in the world of EV market. Ultimately इसके सारा हमारे थ्रू भी attention गया. And trust me, to reducing pollution, to reducing your expenditure on oil, this is the ultimate thing that we need to plan. This is the ultimate thing. Electric is the future. Electric is the most important future. So we need to work on this particular idea as early as possible. Okay. Finally, my last case towards learning from failure. So we also need to understand learning from failure is something which is always teach us what not to do. What to do we learn. Now what not to do, we should plan it. So unfortunately, I always try and take multiple businesses, but I'm taking a company which is very much connected with the education sector. It was started like boom and it is burst like balloon. So unfortunately, the name of the company I was very close correction also. I attended these sessions of this guy. I'm talking about the name of a company is Byju. ठीक है, started with real promise, tremendous. एक समय पे Byju was the नवरत्न of India, world में उसका नाम जाना जाता था. But suddenly everything got vanished within some years. The valuation from 22 billion to 1 billion भी notional है. Revenues are not there. I think they will going to reduce it further. Okay. So Byju's ने क्या गलतीज की, Byju's का क्या इश्यूज था, let us talk about that. Because देखिए सबका एक स्टोरी होता है, और वो स्टोरी अगर हम अच्छे से कॉम्प्रिहेंड करें तो कई बार वो मिस्टेक्स को दोहराने से हम बच सकते हैं. रियल लाइफ आल्सो इट इज वेरी मच कनेक्टेड. यू विल गेट अपॉर्चुनिटी, एंड अपॉर्चुनिटीज में अगर आपको पता है कि मुझे ये नहीं करना है, इससे मुझे ये प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकता है, आई थिंक वो कहीं ना कहीं आपको जो लाइन खींचा रहेगा दैट विल हेल्प यू इन फ्यूचर. So Byju started by Mr. Ravindran. Byju Ravindran, he was not an engineer. He was a good maths trainer, CAT trainer. I attended his session. That's why I'm saying you. That was way back in 2008-9. That time he used to take sessions on a city-wise. 1,000 बच्चे, 2,000 बच्चे ऑडिटोरियम में बैठे हैं, and this guy used to take session. Then he realized, मेरा लोग इतना अच्छा पसंद करते हैं, तो क्यों ना मैं उसको चेंज करूं. So he got investment from multiple companies, and then he got most important thing. आप लोग बहुत सारे लोग उसमें से, I'm sure you were very young in your age. That was the time 2010-11 के बाद we were changing ourselves from one era to another era. तो although globally तो बहुत पहले हो गया था, हमारे यहाँ पे वो era to era change मतलब we were shifting from one to digital area. तो area digital पे हम लोग move कर रहे थे. 2011 में application were not popular. Apps जो आज आपके लिए बहुत popular है, आप हर चीज आपकी जिंदगी नहीं चल सकती ऐप के बगैर आज. उस समय app was very rare thing. This guy has come up with an app, unique app. 2 years में वो वैनिश हो गया. वो लेक्चर्स नहीं लेते थे, दो साल गायब थे. फिर he came back with us. Tremendous buzz. He started taking sessions online, plus he started giving interactive videos, wonderful content, tremendous content. सब कुछ अच्छा चल रहा था. Start हुआ, then he got funds. One by one started उनको funds मिलना चालू हुआ. ठीक है, 25 million का जो funds मिला, उसके बाद they changed. COVID में they have done wonders. People were saying Byju's were planned for this only. Byju ने हमको save कर लिया. Byju's and Unacademies and other companies have saved us because in COVID time, अभी आपका ईयर तो आप नहीं खराब कर सकते ना. वो समय थोड़ी ना चला जाएगा. हम लॉकडाउन में, बट हमारा समय तो जा रहा है. तो मुझे एग्जाम्स भी देने हैं, मुझे पढ़ना भी है. So the app, they have played a really vital role. But unfortunately, after this, the problem started. Once the COVID phase has changed, when the COVID phase has been decreased, then the problem started. What the problem started in broader sense? Problem started in terms of revenue generation. So what problem they had made, that the valuation of the company is being created so artificially, it has created a kind of a bubble, huge bubble. But revenue generation was not there because they were totally dependent on revenues coming from the online business. Then they shifted to offline. They bought Akash, one of the top player, number one in NEET preparation. They bought Whitehead Junior for coding. Whitehead Junior used to make codes for coding classes for 6-7 standard students. They bought multiple more companies. So they thought कि भाई चलो business locally किया जाए. But ultimately इतना जब investment इतना heavy हो जाता है, आपका valuation इतना बढ़ जाता है, pressure जो owners के through जो आना चालू होता है, वो बहुत heavy loaded होता है. So ultimately हमको लगता है कि company is becoming 22 billion. It's for the notional value, it's not a revenue. Why Walmart is the best company across globe? Because they have a revenue of $550 billion. Revenue हर साल $550 billion का sales करते हैं. But this $22 billion is just a valuation, artificial. So the pressure is coming from the investors. पैसा लाओ, पैसा लाओ. So the work culture became toxic. Work culture इतना specific हो गया. And then generally जब आपकी employees and customer, these are the two important pillar of business. Employees were not happy. They were started leaving job. पैसा तो बहुत दे के इनको बुलाया. 10 लाख का पैकेज का इनका ऑफर आता था, पर हाथ में मिलता था 3 लाख. 7 लाख इज इंसेंटिव बेस्ड. इंसेंटिव कैसे? घर जाओ, बेचो जाके, नहीं बेचो तो पैसे लाओ. पेरेंट्स वर अनहैप्पी. अलग-अलग बातें प्रॉमिस करके इनसे परचेज कर लिया प्रोडक्ट. सो कस्टमर स्टार्टेड अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि भाई ये बहुत हाइप कर रहे हैं, बहुत चार्ज कर रहे हैं, बच्चा तो लर्न ही नहीं कर रहा है मेरा. इट्स अ वेस्ट. देन धीरे-धीरे इनका प्रॉब्लम स्टार्ट हुआ. एंड देन अल्टीमेटली जो वैल्यूएशन था वो कंपनी का लॉस होना चालू हुआ. They made one more mistake which I think Ola is not doing it. Ola is coming up with an IPO, right? Recently Ola Electric. So this they made one more mistake which many of the companies those who failed like Kingfisher और बहुत सारी companies जो failed हुआ past में, उन्होंने एक mistake किया. They haven't come with their IPOs. Actually होता क्या है, ट्रांसपेरेंसी आती है. When you list your company in stock market, it will provide a more transparent thing. Then the investors जो होते हैं, जो बड़े investors होते हैं, वो dominate नहीं कर सकते हैं. Paytm is facing problems because of the transparency, but they are not wiped off. Paytm is still there. Paytm को problem हुआ, but still there because they are listed. गवर्नमेंट का भी जिम्मेदारी है कि पीपल का मनी लगा हुआ है, बट अभी गवर्नमेंट का जिम्मेदारी इनके लिए नहीं है. गवर्नमेंट को पता है कि ये क्या है, इन लोग प्राइवेट लोग हैं, इन लोग को जाओ, हमको कोई मतलब नहीं. प्रॉब्लम जब लिस्ट हो जाते हैं तो वो बहुत बड़ा रिस्पांसिबिलिटी बन जाता है. तो ये उनसे एक बड़ा मिस्टेक हुआ. आई थिंक दे हैवंट कम अप विद देयर आईपीओ, दे वर प्लानिंग बट हो नहीं पाया उनसे. सो बैजूस अल्टीमेटली फ्रॉम अर्श से फर्श तक वाला जो कहानी है, उसका मेन लर्निंग हमारे सामने यही आता है. टू बेसिक थिंग: excessive expectation in terms of creating something will always going to hamper. Second thing is, you cannot drive growth by just recreating your valuation. These are the two things: expectation and the valuation are the two prominent reason of this company is being completely wiped off. Maximum places में ये बंद हो चुके हैं. They are not able to give employee salary. Recently BCCI के साथ settlement हुआ. उन्होंने 5 ईयर का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लिया था बीसीसीआई के साथ. आपको पता है बैजू वाज अ स्पॉन्सर. बैजू वाज स्पॉन्सरिंग big players. I think Messi was there, one of the sponsor, one of the main person for sponsorship. So they were huge spending spree में थे, but ultimately that has not converted into generate revenue. तो बिजनेस के लिए आप ध्यान रखिए, कैटल और बैजूस में यही डिफरेंस है. कैटल इतना हाइप नहीं हुआ, बैजूस बहुत हाइप हुआ. कैटल वाज फोकसिंग ऑन बिजनेस, दे आर जनरेटिंग रेवेन्यू. आई थिंक ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा हूं मैं कि यार 5 साल बाद वो भी नहीं खराब हो सकता. देयर कैन बी प्रॉब्लम. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट टुडे. तो टुडे कैटल इज जनरेटिंग गुड रेवेन्यूज. दैट्स व्हाई ऑन 6 consecutive year they are number 1. Byju are not generating revenue. It was just artificially balloon created. So that we need to understand on a broader context. I believe this केस के साथ मेरा भी कंप्लीट होता है डिस्कशन. These are the contact detail. I urge people, those who are watching me, I request you to, अगर अच्छा लगा है तो कमेंट करके आप उसमें बताइए, लाइक करिए, मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंटली अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ शेयर कीजिए. ठीक है. I have got some queries, so I can see. अच्छा, okay, so this was just a thoughtful giving. Thank you giving. So anyone, any queries, I would love to address your queries on this point. Otherwise you can put your queries when I put next video. I will definitely come with those answers of the question. I promise you to make these videos more and more content के साथ more effectively we will be able to do it. This is the first time probably I am coming on live. इसके पहले भी जब live गया तो बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है. तो if suppose any issues, any problem मेरा फॉर्मली में, तो please pardon me. And ये initiative को मैं कोशिश करूँगा कि कंटिन्यू रखें. आपके फीडबैक्स भेजिए, आप चैट बॉक्स में डाल सकते हैं. आपको कौन से टॉपिक में एलैबोरेशन चाहिए, I will try to cover in my next news. Okay, this is the way we could plan, learn. And lastly, we are coming up with more session series. There is a proper schedule we have made. Next week onwards, you will get group discussion session, personal interview technique session, current affairs on based on the past weeks, past month. All that we will be coming up with. So stay tuned. Please do like our video channel. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone.